Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a movie review on a new movie, The Secret Society, written and produced by Miasha Coleman. Before we get into it though, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button when you want to see new videos. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so the movie starts off with a man standing over someone while they're sleeping in bed with someone else, and they point a gun at them, and basically they're making a statement that they thought they could play them and the jig is up, and basically, they're gonna kill them. So we see them put their hand up, the person who's sleeping, and then the gun goes off and they wake up. So startled out of her sleep, Celeste, who is one of the main characters, calls her best friend Tina, who is waking up in a full beat, by the way, but anyway, to tell her best friend about the dream that she just had. And Celeste is played by Raina Love, who I haven't seen in anything else, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't been in other things. And then also Tina is played by Erica Pinkett, who, if you are a Love and Hip Hop fan, you might remember Erica from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta when she was one of Lil Scrappy's side pieces. She made appearances in both season 2 and 3 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So Tina gives Celeste a little pep talk and lets her know, like, girl, it's just a dream. It's fine. Today is your birthday. It's New Year's. We're about to turn up, have a good time, find us some menses, get out here. It's hunting season. So when we see them at the club, they're checking out the dudes and seeing who's got money and who's fronting, and who they're gonna be choosing tonight. So they lay eyes on these two guys, basically surrounded by other women, and Tina comes up with the idea to send over a bottle of Ace. And a bottle of Ace is like $1,000. So Celeste is like, girl, what is you doing? And Tina's just kind of like, girl, trust me. It's an investment. It's going to work. So sure enough, the plan works, and the guys take notice that they did send over that expensive bottle, and they come over to thank the ladies. So Khalil and James are the two guys that they met, and they end up having a good time, spending the rest of the evening together, and they end up giving them head in the back of the club. So yeah. Then that's how the movie just basically starts. So then Celeste begins to narrate the story, and she tells us that there is this secret society in Atlanta with people who had a certain kind of past or broken past, and now they've come, to rebuild their life, or to, be who they truly want to be or are themselves. And her best friend are literally, their goal is to just survive. So she kind of starts running us down her boyfriends and, her sugar daddies, who's doing what. And she has O, who is a hustler from East Atlanta. He buys her purple Rolls Royces and other things. And then she has Tariq, who is this straight-laced real estate agent that co-signed and paid for the condo that she lives in. And then she has James, who she just met, and he doesn't have any money yet, but he's on his way to the league, and his older brother Khalil is taking care of them basically with his illegal money and the hookah lounge that they met at. So Tina is at the mall with her boyfriend, one of her boyfriends, and she ends up taking a picture of his American Express card while she's using it to pay for the things that he's buying her, just further showing, how they're getting over on these dudes. So then we see James, the NBA prospect boyfriend, at a poker game with 3 other guys, and they're talking about how Bruce Jenner is, or almost was, drafted to the league, but he didn't want to go. And then they kind of talk about how his situation played out, and one of the guys makes a statement that he doesn't like men wearing dresses, and I'm assuming he's speaking of the entire trans community he doesn't agree with. But then he tells a story about these women, and he refers to them as trannies. I don't use that language, but he refers to them as that, and were from Philly, who were dressed up really, really beautiful, and portraying themselves as women while still having male anatomy parts. And in his words, they were straight dudes dressed as badass bitches, and they were seeing straight men. So when somebody found out, apparently they tried to kill them, and that's when the ladies decided to move to Atlanta. So intrigued now and, you know, curious, James is like, do you know anything about these girls, or like what's their names or anything? And the guy says that one of their names is Tina and the other one maybe Celeste. So this is when the movie starts to pick up a little bit. Okay, so then we see James go to confront her, and he is kind of, you know, just pressing her about the details, and she's like, that's ridiculous, you're crazy. Whoever said that needs to keep my name out their mouth. They don't even know what they're talking about. You know I'm not a man. That's crazy. You know me. And James starts pressing her about some details about their sexual encounters, and how she always wants to keep the lights off, and how she only lets him hit it from the back, and how she never suggests that he go down on her. And so then he starts to get a little aggressive. And when he starts to get aggressive, that's when she starts to get scared and then runs to the bathroom or to the next room and locks the door behind her. So he's banging on the door, yelling and screaming like, let me in. You better tell me right now. You're a man. You better tell me right now and show me and prove to me. And it was just giving weird as hell. So she ends up coming out with it and saying, if I knew that if you knew the truth, you wouldn't have wanted to deal with me. So then I'm like, so y'all, I'm shocked and in awe right now when I realize what this is really about, because Raina Love and Erica Pinkett, neither one of them are women of trans experience. So I'm very confused now as to, and then I'm annoyed because I'm like, why the hell did you choose two cis women to play two trans women? And now I'm feeling like it's going to be giving problems. But I'm a holdout, and I'm going to just say this is not what I thought it was about. So now I got to change gears and be like, okay. So now that we know what the big secret is, they go back and into time, and they show us when Tina and Celeste met. And they show us that Tina has always, at least they don't necessarily tell us how old they are, but I think they're maybe like 10 or maybe even a little 12 or 13 maybe years old. And Tina has always kind of been transitioning. She has kind of always known who she was. And, you know, even as when they met her, Charles, who is Celeste's self as a boy, when Charles met Tina, she was, you know, already Tina. She had her little, you know, hair, little ponytails, and she was being bullied by some boys who wanted her to show them her private parts. And he stopped them from bullying her. And then Tina was kind of like, look, I know you gay, when they had their little moment alone together. And she was like, just be who you are. And I think Tina has always kind of pushed that out of Celeste, to be that person to remind her to just be herself and to, you know, be who you are and don't be ashamed of that. So that's the kind of the friendship that they have. Anyway. So we come back to see Tina comforting Celeste and letting her know again that everything's going to be okay and she'll find somebody else soon. And Celeste is wondering if James might have told his cousin Khalil, who was dealing with Tina. And Tina doesn't think that he told him, because I don't know what straight dude want nobody to know that he slept with a man, whether he knew it or not. So this is when I knew in this statement that it was going to give problems, because sis, you're not a man. So I'm trying to find out whose perspective this movie is being told from. Is it a woman of trans experience, or is it a man who is tricking men into, because that doesn't make sense. The entire kind of the story there is built on the fact that Celeste or Tina or whoever can't be themselves because of who they truly are and the body that they're trapped in, and yet you would identify yourself as a man. Okay, even in conversation, that's unrealistic to me. I just don't. It's 2021, so yeah, that was what it was. I don't know about that. So yeah. Another flashback then of Celeste as a young boy, Charles, and when he actually told his mom that he wanted to live as a girl. And his mom is played by Vivica Fox. So he told his mom, like, that girl Tina that comes over sometimes as my friend, she's actually not a girl, she's a boy, and she's living as a girl. And I think I want to do that too. And his mom gives what I have known from knowing people of trans experience tell me their stories is similar, that she wasn't supportive. And that's the sad part. I mean, and that's the realistic part of that, I guess, is that she wasn't supportive, and she was just kind of like, hey, if you live under my roof and you wear the clothes that I bought you with my paychecks, then you will live as what I say that you will live as. So I mean, that was unfortunate, but that just gives us kind of a groundwork for who is Celeste's support system and how, she feels comfortable being herself in front of who, and she couldn't be herself in front of her mom. So in another narration, Celeste reveals that the secret society that she's a part of is girls living in boys' bodies, and the only thing real about it is the danger. So then I'm like, that sounds like you're trying to like invalidate these people's experiences a little, but I don't want to be a little overly sensitive and be, assuming something. But yeah, it can be dangerous if you don't disclose, something that you would know because you're hiding it to people. So I think that's a slippery slope, and I think the statement is a slippery slope to say, because trans individuals are very, very authentic. They are real. So I don't know why to say nothing real is about it, but the danger. I mean, I wear waves and lashes and nails and all that good stuff, but I'm a very real person. So anywho, then we see Tina being met at the door by one of her boyfriends, and it actually is the boyfriend who she was taking a picture of his credit card. So I'm assuming that he either found out about her or he found out that she was stealing from him on the low. Either way, he goes in, closes the door behind him, locks it, and then proceeds to beat her ass. So she's screaming and crying in the background. And yeah. So then Celeste gets a call from her boyfriend, Tariq, who actually co-signed the unit that she's in, and he wants to come up. And first she's trying to like tell him like go away with some like lame excuse, but he's like, girl, I got this food and I'm trying to come up, so I'm not leaving. So she's like, okay, give me a second. Then they have a shot of her like peeing standing up, and I think they were trying to be ironic, but I think it was a little vulgar to me. Not because we didn't see any penis or anything, but to me it just, I don't know. I think they were trying to be ironic, so it's fine. And then we see her scatter out tampons on the counter. So that is the part where I'm like, you actually are going to trick him, because you are going out of your way to deceive him so that he can believe something that is not true. And I think that's the part where consent and disclosure are very important. So the part where you're literally playing mind games is, yeah, problematic. So while they're having dinner, Celeste and Tariq, she gets a text from Tina letting her know, like, dude just put his hands on me. And like a true bestie, she comes, running to her aid to, see if she's okay. So when she's there, she's like, girl, what happened? Does he know? No. Or, what happened? She's like, nah, girl, if he knew I'd be dead. But what did happen is he found out that I was stealing from him and he's pissed. Understandably. So they're kind of just, talking about how did we get here? We both had dudes at the top of their games, and now we're back to square one. And Tina, being the, guiding light and the hustler lead that she is, she's just kind of like, girl, it's just a setback. I got a new plan. We about to regroup and head to LA. We about to meet up with some white men, and hopefully they could be our new plan. So when they get to LA with Terry and Derek, they're there for all of like 5 minutes before the guys are like, we need to go to Mexico and do some business. So they hop on a PJ and go to Mexico. And when they get there, they're kind of taking in the beauty of everything. I mean, the guys are very wealthy, so they're basically staying in like a boat mansion that's not a yacht and not a boat. I mean, and not a house. So it was really nice. So as the ladies are like taking it all in, they're, hugging and embracing and just like, bitch, we made it kind of energy. So when they're kind of talking and just having a conversation about, where they are now and how happy they are, Tina makes a statement to Celeste that her mama always told her that she would never make it anywhere as long as, or no good would ever come to her as long as she wanted to live her life as a woman. So then Tina says, I learned early on that the P gets you more than the D. And I'm like, what the hell, who the hell wrote this? Like, I know you are not trying to insinuate for a second that trans people want to be, or women of trans experience want to be women because they can get more out of it, because being a woman comes with so much more privilege, especially a black woman. That's okay. So I mean, I was floored, but I just knew, like, I got to figure out who the hell wrote this and who made this, because I just knew it was a man. Like, all of the inaccuracy of the language and the way that they're going about this story about, a trans individual's experience is just, it had to have been written by a man. But I'll tell you about that later. So the ladies are getting wined and dined and treated like ladies and like royalty, and they're having a great time with the guys in Mexico. And then we see Tina laid up with her guy, Derek, and he's just kind of confiding in her that he's really happy that he can be himself, in both the bedroom and in public, because he doesn't have to worry about being judged for what he likes, which I believe that he likes men and that's what he wants, but he likes that she's beautiful, a woman, and that she can basically help him pass in public because she's dressed as a woman, even though she lives as a woman. So I feel like that's a little problematic for her, but that's her man. And then we see Celeste, who is laid up with Terry, and Celeste is trying to be all coy coming out of the bathroom, and Terry's like, girl, I know what you got down there. Me and my brother is into it. I know Tina told you what we like, and I like what you got. So then we see him proceed to bend over and what's her name, Celess, then, you know, does him from the back. So yeah, the ladies are talking about it the next morning, and Celeste is embarrassed and doesn't really want, you know, Tina to be shouting it to the rooftops that she blew her man's back out, because she wants to be bent over like a woman, because she is a woman. So yeah, so they have that conversation, and Tina's just kind of like, girl, you too picky, okay? This man is rich and he's trying to support us, and hey, if he wants his back blown out, then that's just what I'm gonna do. So the next day or sometime later, the ladies are at a party that the guys are hosting, probably some sort of like business soiree or whatever. There's some associates there. And as the guys are introducing the ladies to one of their associates, he makes a comment that he thought that the men, the two guys, Terry and Derek, were FAGs. And then the ladies kind of snicker and look at each other. And I'm just like, I mean, if they're with them, then they're not. So I'm confused, and I'm thinking that the person who wrote this is confused about the sexual identity versus the sexual orientation of the people involved here. Or maybe that is a plight of, you know, people of the trans experiences, having people who are gay want to be with them, but really you're not gay. I'm not wanting to be with a man who's a man. I'm a woman. So anyway, that's all up for discussion, and I'd love to discuss it, or hear more about it from someone who's obviously more educated than me. So Derek ends up proposing to Tina. He tells her that, you know, he loves her and he's really happy that he met her, and so he wants to share his life with her and continue to be together with her as a husband and wife, and she accepts. And Celeste is jealous and a little frustrated and bitter that her friend is now going to move to LA to be with her husband, and she's going to have to leave her in Atlanta because, you know, that's the plan, has nothing to do with her. So Tina's like, girl, as soon as I marry him, you're going to be good to marry his brother. And she's just like, I don't want to marry his brother. I don't want to be bending him over for the rest of our lives. I would like to be bent over. So, or whatever. I would like to be treated like a lady. I don't want whatever he's offering in the privacy of our bedroom activities. I don't want that. So when the trip is over, they've been there for about a week, and Celeste is headed home. When she gets back to the airport, her car isn't there. So she calls her sugar daddy, or one of her boyfriends, the one that bought her the purple Rolls Royce. And, you know, he's like, yeah, girl, I repossessed that thing because you weren't calling me back for a week. So, I mean, it's controlling, but at the same time, this is what happens when you're using people for their stuff or for them to buy you things. They get to control or get to tell you where to be, when to be, whatever. So, they make a little amends or whatever. They agree to meet up at her house. So when she gets to her house, he is there and he's kind of pressing her to, you know, be intimate and, you know, get physical. And she's trying to give him excuses and let him know, like, I'm not in the mood, I'm tired, I'm jet lagged, I'm on my period. And he's like, goes in the bathroom and checks for tampons. And I'm like, that gives psycho, abusive, crazy ass. I don't know what the hell that's about, but that's weird as fuck. You should not be checking people's bathrooms, their trash cans. If they tell you they're on their period, then take that for what it is and go do whatever the hell it is you got else to do, because that is... Anywho, so when he's like, I don't see no tampons or no nothing, no stuff in the toilet, he comes out and he's like pressing her and he's getting hella physical and he's like coming towards her like, you know, what's up? Why you lying? She starts reaching for a knife and he's like, cool it. You know, you don't have to be scared of me. I'm not going to do nothing to you. You don't have to lie to me. I know what you are. I know what's going on and I'm okay with it. So then they just proceed to, you know, kiss and be happy and make love and do whatever else. And, they end on a good note. So he leaves thinking that they're going to be together and go, be in a relationship, as does she. Okay. So literally when O leaves, he gets killed. He goes to do a drug deal, because remember, he's a drug dealer, and he gets killed and left in the car for dead. So nobody knows where he is or what's happening with him. So literally, while Celeste is thinking that they're so happy and that they're going to be in a relationship, and she finally found somebody who's going to, accept her for her, and she's telling her best friend about it, he is dead in a car somewhere, So, sorry guys, I almost choked to death. Anyway, so one day, she's in her bathtub, minding her own business, taking a bath, relaxing and soaking, when Tariq comes in. And, he is the co-signer of the place, but she told him he couldn't have a key until he paid a year's worth of rent. So, but I guess her doorman ain't never paying attention or something, so people just be coming up. And so he's like trying to come closer, and she's trying to keep him back so he don't see what she got going on. And when he's coming closer and starting to get angry, like, girl, what you mean? I ain't heard from you in a week. And I don't know what the hell is with everybody in this week time frame. But I guess, when these people be paying and they be feeling like I need to hear from you more often, but a week is not that long to not hear from someone. So, if I didn't hear from my man, who is my man, then that would be a problem. But, a week for whatever. That's control. So, she's like trying to keep him from coming any closer to her. And then finally she's like, I have HIV. You have HIV, sis? So, okay. What in the hell? Why? I know what the purpose of it was to literally like throw him off and to literally get him to leave by any means necessary. But why put a stigma on a community that already has that stigma? Why reinforce that when the thought could even possibly be, this person might be a man, or I'll find out later that they were a man, or whatever? Why would you put a stigma out there that they have HIV? And then why put the stigma on the HIV positive community? Like, they can't have love and sexual encounters and any of that. And maybe I'm being too sensitive, but why didn't I see any of this the first time I watched it? I was literally just like, oh, okay. It was a good movie. So I'll get to I know, right? I'm not making it sound very good, but it was problematic. So, yeah. So anyway, she gets him to finally leave by throwing out what her and Tina call rule number 3, or excuse number 3. So that's by any means necessary. You need to get him out. It's an emergency. Then use excuse number 3. It worked. He left. So next up, it's Tina's wedding. So Tina's getting married to the white man, and that's what happens. She gets married to that white man, Terry. And then Celeste calls around to the hospitals and the jails, and she's trying to find her man, because he ain't been calling her back all this time. And she's just like, it must be more than just him changing his mind about, who I am or what's, the truth about me. So of course she does find out that O is dead, because he is. And she's devastated, of course. And like a true bestie, Tina comes back and is right by her side again, stroking her hair and letting her know that everything is going to be okay. So then we get to see another flashback of Celeste going to see her mom one last time before she goes away to Atlanta with Tina. And we find out that her mom it wasn't even a goodbye or even a conversation. Her mom didn't even acknowledge her. She pretended like she didn't know who she was standing there on her doorstep and then closed the door in her face. So, I mean, Celeste just kind of took that as, if I can't be, if my mom won't accept me, then no one will. And the fact that O did accept her and now had died was, you know, an even more devastating loss for that reason. So we see Tina, again, being supportive and, you know, trying to get Celeste to get up and out of bed and, you know, just let her know, like, girl, I'm gonna take care of you. You my best friend and I got your back. We're gonna get you some food. She orders them some food and I'm gonna get you, you know, your bills paid and, you know, get you some utility money and stuff in the meantime. But you're gonna have to get up, get it, you know, shaken and put a fire under that little booty to get a new man, because essentially that's what the goal is. Sorry. So, in her prowl to find a new rich man, she ends up getting drunk a lot, and, you know, getting money. So she ends up meeting Michael in a parking garage because Michael is just being a nice guy. She's drunk and stumbling around and, you know, somebody just dropped her off and she's too drunk to, you know, get to where she needs to get to. So he volunteered to wait with her for her Uber to come, and then she ends up falling asleep. So he took her to his house and let her sleep in his son's room. And yeah, so from there, Michael's just a nice guy trying to be a nice guy. He didn't try anything with her. He changed her clothes when she threw up and made her more comfortable and stuff. So he's just being a nice guy. And because of that, she agrees to let him take her out on a real date the same evening. So she's talking to Tina and Tina's husband. They're on, you know, on speakerphone and stuff. And she's talking to Tina and Terry about Michael and, you know, how he helped her out and changed her clothes and didn't try anything. And both Tina and Celeste's automatic reaction is like, is he gay? And I'm like, first of all, it's predatory and disgusting to have sex with a girl that is drunk, so drunk she doesn't know where she is, that you have to change her clothes. And I think Celeste did end up changing her own clothes because he said she sobered up quick when he was time to change her clothes. But I mean, that's not normal for people to want to have sex with a drunk person, a really, really, really drunk person, and we need to not normalize that, okay? Because that's illegal, and it should be more illegal than what it is. But I digress. So they go on their first official date, and I mean, she asked him, you know, why didn't you try anything with me when I was, you know, laying up in your bed? And she asked him again, are you gay? And it was just, again, like, why are we so fixated on whether or not this man is gay? Because he did not try to sleep with you on some weirdo shit. Because that is exactly what that would have been. But the date goes well, and they end up going back to his house and or her house and sleeping together. And she doesn't want him to touch her. So she puts his hands up in handcuffs, and yeah. Tina and Derek go, so they were going to go courtside. That was one of the things that they had in their little phone conversation. They were going to go courtside to a game, and I guess whatever team Jamal got drafted to recently, he was there, and he gave Tina some sort of death stare that she later let Celeste know, like, girl, whatever, that wound is still fresh. So that is still a very real danger that we need to be looking out for. And she just lets her know, you know, like, watch out, you know, we got to watch our backs in that regard. So Michael tries to sneak up behind Celeste, and then they basically just talk about getting matching costumes for Halloween, and Celeste lets him know that, you know, I'm here, you're gonna have to do more than just boo to try to scare me off, you know, because I really like you. And they just spend the next little time vibing, getting to know each other, doing a little cute montage to a nice song, whatever. When Tina is like, you know, do you think it's time that you say something to him? And she's like, yeah. So I'm going to tell him. And Tina and Derek decide that they're going to fly out for moral support so that she can tell him the news about the truth about her before or with some people, so that it could be, she can just be more comfortable. And if his response is bad, then, she has these people who know her to support her. So when they get to dinner, we see them having, just a nice normal conversation. And then it kind of cools down and everybody's looking at Celeste like, okay, go ahead, girl, say what you got to say. And she just comes out and says, Michael, I'm a man. Nudger. So Michael's response is like, what, and that's when she says nudger, like, I'm a manager. And my first thing is like, first of all, any person of trans experience, if you are going to disclose who you are, your identity, like, as you would or whatever, why would you say I'm a man? And I don't believe that people of trans experience actually would say that. I'm just saying for writing purposes, why would you say I'm a man when that's not how you identify and that's not who you want to be known as? So why would that be what you say? I don't get that part about it. But the I'm a man nudger, either way it goes, she doesn't end up telling him in that moment. She's afraid. His response is just too shocked and she just backs away from it. So Celeste and Tina end up going to a ice cream shop, and this ice cream shop is nice. They got a big ass bucket of ice cream, like a tub, like a literal tub of ice cream. And if anybody knows, like, this is a real place in Atlanta, I need to know, because I need to go, because that ice cream looked amazing. Whatever they had going on, I want that. So they go to the ice cream parlor and they're talking about the dinner and how it didn't go. And Tina says, I think it's time you stop leading him on. And I mean, she's right in one regard. I don't like the idea that that anybody is leading someone on, because I think in the trans community that's gets a bad rap anyway, the idea that anyone is tricking someone. But in this movie, they are actually tricking people, because they are actually doing things to hide their identities in a way that, like, you're scattering tampons on the table when you don't have a period, and you're putting handcuffs so that he can't touch your body and find out things about you. And I think that's the part where disclosure is important, because if you think it might be important to that other person and you're hiding it because you think it's important, then you should say something. And that's the part where it gets a little sticky, So, of course, she does decide that, it is time to talk to him about it. And Michael and Celeste are chilling at the house, and Michael brings up Celeste meeting his mother. And apparently she's already met his son, which I didn't know. I didn't see her meet his son, but he says that, you met my son. And when when he wants her to meet his mother, she's like, I think we need to break up, and trying to break up with him and basically just be like, I can't be that woman for you. I'm not going to be, you want to have more kids and you want some woman that you can take home to your mother, and I'm just not that woman. And I mean, I do understand why you would wait and why you wouldn't want to explain that, because the rejection from that many people, the possibility of rejection could be devastating and could definitely have effects on your relationship. So I get why there would be such a hesitance to even address it, but it needs to be addressed. So eventually Michael is just not trying to be broken up with. He's just like, girl, I'm not leaving you. So whatever you trying to do right now, I'm not doing it too. I'm not about to not be with you. So she just comes out with it and is like, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Shit. I'm a man. And again, I'm like, honey, you're not a man. Not one time, I will remind you, has anyone referred to themselves as a trans person or a person of trans experience, period. They have not used the word trans, gender, trans, anything at all. So I'm putting most of the correct language out there, but I have no idea if that is actually the story that they're trying to tell. I'm just saying it for myself because I feel like that's the community that you're trying to connect with. And if it is, then I need to be respectful, even if you're not. So, she does come out, and says, Michael, I'm a man. And then he is upset, obviously. And he's questioning, why did you take so long to tell me? I let you meet my son. And, he's explaining all of how he feels. And then she's just kind of explaining about the heartaches of being trans and not being able to be yourself and to truly find love and to find someone who will love you for you, and being born in a body that you don't belong in. So that is the part where I'm like, you are identifying with the trans community. You literally have said maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the movie that you've been born in a body that you don't belong in. You're a girl in a boy's body that you don't belong in. And that is how the trans community speaks of their identity and how they, explain it to people. So the fact that you would not then take the care to speak the right language and to educate yourself on the actual experiences, that's annoying to me, just flat out annoying. So he's upset and then he leaves, obviously. He said he was gonna, stay and he was gonna be in this for the long haul, but really he ended up leaving. So Tina is yet again devastated. Not Tina, Celeste is again devastated and alone and crying on her couch about a man when Tina surprises her for her birthday, because it has now been a whole year since the movie began, and she surprises her and comes in with a pizza box, and she snuck past that damn doorman because he's never there, never paying attention or whatever, and she snuck past the doorman and she came up with a pizza box that had like a hoodie in it with a deed underneath, and the deed is to a house in California that she bought for her friend. And basically she just tells her, like, girl, it's time to hang up our Atlanta jerseys. It's literally time to get out of the Players Club and just, settle down, find something, settled in California. I got a husband. You'll find something or someone. But we've overstayed our welcome in Atlanta and it's time to move. So they decide that in the morning, literally tomorrow morning, we are out of here. On the first thing smoking, we headed back to California. And tonight, we're just going to enjoy Atlanta, turn up one last time, and then be out of here. So the ladies are doing their little pregame thing and then getting shots ready when they are startled by Khalil. And remind you, Khalil is James's older brother who got locked up in the beginning of the movie. And I'm guessing they thought he would be locked up for much longer, but he ends up getting out. And he's looking for revenge for both him and his brother. And he says that his brother did obviously tell him the truth, and he didn't want to risk his own career by coming to kill them, but he does not have no career and no problems with killing them both. So there is no struggle. There is no, fight scene or anything. Tina tries to run away and he shoots her twice. Just pow, pow. She tries to tell Celeste to just run, but Celeste wants to run to her aid and, help her friend and, cry like, please stop, don't do this. He kills Tina dead. And then Celeste puts her hand up just like she did at the beginning of the movie in her dream, and he shoots her too. And the bullet ends up going through her hand and grazes her face. So she ends up with like a really ugly scar, and then I'm not sure, I think she just wore a glove on her hand so that no one could see the scar. But that's how, that's how she ends up dying, Tina. So the next thing we see is them at Tina's grave. In them, I mean Celeste and Tina's husband, Derek, were at Tina's grave. And they were just paying respects. And I'm assuming they buried her in California, because then Derek brings Tina to a house that is that was meant for her. That Tina bought for her and was going to bring her to. They do like a quick little montage of 2020 and how bad it was, coronavirus, Kobe dying, and it's just kind of like, so it is 2021 and y'all have all this problematic language and this inconsiderate, like, phobic behavior going on, but it's 2021 that you're portraying this movie out. Okay. So yeah, she survives. Derek survives. He brings her to the house. He gives her a letter from Tina, and it's, of course, very heartfelt. It's all about, bitch, we made it, and this is for you. You deserve it. You earned it. And so as she's, on the balcony of her house about to go in and, enjoy it, she gets a call on her phone, and it's Michael. And that's how the movie ends. So hopefully that they were alluding to the fact that she and Michael would get back together. Maybe he forgave her for lying all that time and, realized that sexual identity is just that. It's an identity. And he was fine with that. So hopefully that was the case. But yeah, it was a decent movie. I will say the story and the plot, they were good. It was a good movie. When I watched it, I literally was in it. It picked up after, the reveal of the secret, and it never really slowed down. It was a decent movie. The problem I had a problem with was all of the problematic language and writing in some areas. So I like to do a score sheet, and I have a link in the description for the score sheets that I use. But this is kind of what I came up with. So on my score sheets, I do it based on the acting, the writing, the ending, the diversity. And just so you know, whenever I do a review on a movie with a cast of predominantly people of color, they always get a 10. So it's a score sheet, 10 out of 10. Okay, so for the plot and the story, I gave the movie a 7. It was a good story, a good plot. The twist was really interesting, but I gave it a 7 because of some of the problematic parts of the storytelling. And then the ending satisfaction was a 9. I always like it when I feel hopeful and that, one of the main characters made it out, but I always like it when I feel hopeful for them. So I gave it a 9. It was a good, satisfactory ending, and it kind of sealed up some loose ends. And then the acting I gave an 8 because the actresses did a really good job. So Erica Pinkett and Raina Love, shout out to them because they did an amazing job. It's not their fault that they never should have been cast in the first place, but they did an amazing job. I mean, Erica, the way that she was screaming in the background when she was getting beat up by a dude, I was very impressed. I thought they both did amazing. So, and then Vivica and, everybody who was in the movie, they all did a really good job. Nobody held up the movie with their bad acting or their, poor timing or anything. It was really good. So on the directing and producing, all that had to be really good too. Diversity, like I said before, I typically, with a movie that is predominantly, or it's a black movie, whatever, if it's predominantly made for or by people of color, I will usually give it a 10 automatically because it's diversity. And diversity, literally a black movie is diverse in the film industry. So, however, in this case, the movie lost major points. Major points when it came to diversity because you can't tell a story about a trans American or a person of trans experience and not use a trans actor. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me, honestly. I literally don't get that. And then when I went back and seen her, the author of the book, Miasha Coleman, mind you, the book that was written in 2006. So I do understand how some of that language was taken directly from the book and how the book might not have been as up as we are now, as sensitive as we are now, and culturally competent as we are now in 2021, or at least as we should be in 2021. So the book, separate thing in itself, but the movie, she said that the reason that she chose to use cis women was because people wouldn't watch the movie if she chose trans actors, or because, and also, I should say, because she didn't want to give it away. So she wanted the reveal to remain a reveal. I mean, I guess to the point where it was so unbelievable that it wasn't true, because these women are not trans women. They are cis women. So yeah, I mean, it lost major points there. I gave it a 2 on diversity, honestly. 2, because that was just a major faux pas. And to me, the response was even ignorant to say that people won't watch it if you put a trans actress as a lead when we have Pose. Are you kidding me? Pose is like one of the best shows on FX, and people are upset that it was groundbreaking, and people are upset that it's on its final season. So for you to say that people won't watch it because it's about trans women, or because 2 trans women are the stars, that's problematic, sis. Sorry. So the writing is the last category that I score on, and the writing, I gave it a 6, only because of the problematic language. Otherwise, it was funny. There was some moments. It had like I said, the characters did really well playing out their roles, and they did a good job. The writers wrote, and I just feel like some of the problematic language, there's some parts that I literally would have struck from the script completely. Scenes probably that I would have scrapped, but only because they're problematic, and probably would have tweaked those. But I honestly think that if they had used the notes that Amaya Scott gave them, and Amaya Scott, for those of you that don't know, is a trans actress. She was on Star as Cotton. She's also like a supermodel. She's a model, very beautiful, and she's a model too. So she's like all over. And I mean, there's trans women are popping up everywhere, being beautiful, talented actresses, singers, all kinds of stuff. So you can't tell me that you couldn't have found somebody who was on the rise. India from Pose, beautiful, gorgeous. She was literally just in like a music video or something, or maybe a different movie. Oh, she was in Queen and Slim. That's what it was. Either way, people who did not know, who had never seen Pose, they did not know that she was a trans woman. And to me, that's not what even matters. The matters is that you revealed the secret so early in the movie that it honestly doesn't even make sense for you to cast the people based on the secret that you were going to reveal in the first 5 minutes of the movie. So anywho, my overall recommendation, I add up all those scores and I divide them by 5, and it's about a 6.5. So for 6.5 for me, that's like not necessarily a must watch, but I mean, you should watch it. Like, you should see it for yourself. It is definitely pieces to discuss. I am a lot more sensitive to some things than other people. I watch things a little closer, than some people. And I just notice things that, I like to be an ally and to speak up for other communities when I can, and I feel like in this moment, the movie had some problematic moments, and I thought it was good, and I think that you all should check it out and should take a look for yourself. But I think that in terms of that, we have a lot of growing to do, and we have a ways to go. So either way, I definitely want to hear about what you guys thought about the movie. Let me know, especially if you are a woman or a man of trans experience. I definitely want to know what you thought. And I mean, if you thought that the story should have been told by trans women, or I mean, if you thought that it was fine. But either way, let me know what you guys thought. So let me know in the comments, like, subscribe. hit the bell button, and all that good stuff. You know, blah, blah, blah. But see you guys. Bye.